and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel, guys. It has been quite a quiet few days, and doesn't it feel like an absolute age since Barca played Real Madrid? We have had to wait a long time here to be even close to match day again, but we are nearly there indeed, because on Thursday, Barca will be facing Athletic Club in the Copa del Rey. But as we wait for that game to come, coming up today is some news for you. We're going to be talking about Samuel Umtiti's latest injury problem, but the big discussion in today's video is once again surrounding Ousmane Dembele, because we are going to delve deep into the question of whether Dembele should indeed be sent to the stands and never play for Barca again, or should we use him for his remaining months here. We're going to be discussing both sides of the argument, so let's get to it. Because indeed, if we first of all focus on Samuel Umtiti and the disappointing news on his behalf, and indeed the club's behalf, coming through this week, is that yes, he has another injury. Here we go again. Because during Monday's training session, it was announced officially by the club that Umtiti had fractured his metatarsal bone, which is quite a serious problem, and it was quickly decided that Umtiti would undergo immediate surgery today, on Tuesday, and indeed, with him now having to undergo that surgery and that problem with the foot, it is indeed going to be a pretty lengthy spell once again on the sidelines for Umtiti, and he could miss up to 3 months of action. And this, of course, coming absolutely typically just after he's renewed his contract, but of course that was done for more financial reasons than sporting ones. But the big issue really is not necessarily Umtiti not playing. I don't think we were counting on him by any stretch of the imagination, but the big problem for us is that now, no chance of him leaving in the January transfer window. That is the biggest blow of all, because the club, even despite that renewal, was still looking for a way out for Umtiti. We were still hoping to receive some offers, especially towards the end of the window, but this injury now, unfortunately, has put an end to all that, and Umtiti will continue at the club. However, there is one maybe slice of positive news from all of this, and that is some whispers in the media that if indeed Umtiti is ruled out long-term for a number of months there with injury, Barca this month could legally unregister him in La Liga, which is very important, because of course we would still have to pay his wages. Unfortunately, we still would, but they would not be included for the rest of the season in our very strict La Liga salary cap. So if we could unregister Umtiti because of a lengthy injury, then maybe that could open up the door for some further additions. If we wanted to bring in another signing this month, maybe that would make it a little bit more straightforward. We've heard in the media about a striker, about a left-back. Personally, I believe those two players will arrive at the club, but not in this transfer window. I think those two are going to be much more targeted, the players that we really want come the summer transfer window. But also, let's not forget, we are still trying to register the likes of Xavi, Nico Gonzalez there with the first team. So maybe that could help with that. However, one player right now who surprisingly is not injured, it is a surprise, but he is still fit and ready to go for match action. We have to talk about Ousmane Dembele, because again, this saga has taken its latest turn in the media today. It has been reported now that we could be about to see one final meeting between Barcelona and Dembele's representatives, and that could take place on Wednesday before the door is well and truly shut. That would there be a last chance saloon for any dramatic turns, any dramatic twists, because the problem right now, according to the media, is that in private, Dembele keeps telling everyone at the club that he wants to stay. He keeps going to Xavi. That is why Xavi was so convinced of Dembele's renewal, because he keeps telling him, I want to be here. I want to continue at the club. But the problem is, when it comes to the actual negotiations, when it comes there to the demands about wages, as we know, the two parties could not be further apart. So there's a real confusion there about exactly what Dembele does want. Apparently there, Dembele's agent is seen by the club as a real problem. Moussa Sissoko apparently has been disrespectful, rude, and even insults apparently have been heard during the negotiations between himself and the club. And there is a real sense here, like the agent is certainly not helping in terms of the talks between the two sides. But the problem I have with that right now is that we're not talking here about a 17-year-old in Dembele who maybe is being led down the wrong path, who's being misguided, and he can't find his voice to make anything change. We're talking here about a fully grown man. This man will turn 25 this summer. He is perfectly capable of standing up and saying, I don't want you to represent me anymore. I will find a new agent. I will move on. I don't need you. Or at the very, very least, making sure that those wage demands are lowered. He holds a lot of power. Do not be misled here in thinking that Dembele has no say in what's going on in those negotiations. He will be approving what his agent is saying, and like I say, he is the player here. He does hold that control. So I still don't buy the excuse that it's all to do with the agent, even though he definitely is not helping matters. And that is why right now, we have to discuss what should happen with Dembele. Because of course, when we spoke there about Dembele's refusal to renew, about the fact that he will not leave, he simply will not leave this month. He'll refuse the offers because he wants to go for free in the summer. It was then reported he has played his last game for Barca. Barca will not tolerate this. He will not play again. But intriguingly, Xavi apparently wouldn't necessarily agree with that. He would not really feel comfortable there with leaving Dembele completely cast aside, partly because of the effect that may have on the squad in terms of the harmony, in terms of the dressing room, and also, of course, from a standpoint of we could use, and it would be nice to have the impact of Dembele if we need him. So that is the question right now. Do you still cast him out? Do you make sure there that if he doesn't renew, if he doesn't leave in January, he sits in the stands every game without fail, you make an example of him, no football for 6 months, which when you look at his future, it's not helpful for him. He's got the World Cup coming up, of course, he wants to try and get in the French squad for that, so not playing for that amount of time, it will not be helpful, although let's not forget the World Cup isn't until December, so he does have a few more months after that. Of course, as well, for his next club, it's not ideal that Dembele is not in action for him. You know, he may get out of shape in that time, may lose a bit of focus, you don't know, but it is also reported in the media that Dembele wouldn't really care. If he had to sit in the stands for the next 6 months, it wouldn't really bother him, which honestly, guys, that doesn't surprise me. I could absolutely believe that rumour, because you know what? He's used to it, isn't he? He is used to sitting in the stands, because that is where he has spent most of his Barca career. So what do? Do you still cast him out, or do you say, we're paying this guy still over €200,000 a week. We're still going to have to pay him for the rest of the season. So if we're going to have to pay him, why not use him? Now, of course, I wouldn't say by any means to use him every single game, every single week. We shouldn't be basing any of our long-term plans, of course, around Dembele. But do we use him when we need him? Do we almost say, you know what, Dembele is there, you know, we'll throw him on if we need him, maybe in a similar sort of situation to against Linares in the Copa del Rey when he came off the bench, and almost a feeling there, if we're not using him for his benefit, it's for ours. We're still paying him, we're still going to have him at our disposal if we need him. And that would be the question to you guys right now. Given everything that's happened with Dembele, given the reports that we're hearing, different ones, of course, coming out with every passing day, what would you do? Would you cast him aside, send him to the stands, completely freeze him out for the demands that he's made over the past few months? Or, in the interests of the club and on the sporting side of things, would you still play him, include him, and use him in this team? That is the question. To go away today and let me know down below. So indeed, guys, that is everything where the Barca news is concerned today. But like I say, I'll be back tomorrow as we can finally get talking again about the real entertainment, about the real football. That is what is important. So Athletic Club against Barca, all of the build-up ahead of that Copa del Rey clash. It will be coming right here tomorrow. I will see you, of course, for that. And I thank you indeed today for tuning in for the video. I will see you soon. Thank you for your support. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.